today we have a special guest on, and basically he's a nutrition expert. His name's Keith Morey, and he's going to help us find out if what we are eating is actually eating us, and he's going to tell us if there's a fungus among us.
Ooh.
Are you there, Keith?
I'm here.
Well, I read your stuff, and I'll tell you what, it's kind of scary, actually. But you're the expert, so why don't you tell us exactly what the heck, because you say flat out in one of your papers, you know the number one cause for all disease, cancer, and divorce. That's a pretty bold statement.
Pretty bold statement, but I believe it to be true. I'm going to ask a few questions here to your audience. And if you have like 2 or 3 of these, most likely you have a starting fungal infection that's going to progressively get worse. And if you have a lot of them, you have a raging one.
Uh-oh.
So typical symptoms are craving for carbohydrates, bread, pasta, sugar, sweets, candies, moodier than you'd care to admit to, sex drive not what you would like it to be, short-term memory, hypoglycemic, meaning really fatigued mid-afternoon, or in later stages you get a little shaky if you don't eat properly. Fatty foods don't set well with your digestive tract, and the real later stages you get bloated once in a while and you don't understand why. Do you have any of those symptoms?
I got them all.
Most of our population has this, and they don't talk about it because they just think it's normal. My son, this is a prime example. He comes out of high school, decides he wants to be a chef because he was an Eagle Scout and cooked for his troops, cooked for his mom and everything. He basically, plans his life 40 years ahead, so he knew what school he was going to and how he was going to get where, how he's going to start his own restaurant and the whole shooting match. I talked him into coming to work for me. I talked him into doing a protocol to kill off fungus, right? Okay. He did the protocol, and at the end of the summer, we went out to dinner, and the restaurant opened at 6, and I was there at 5:30, and I didn't want to wait around. So I turned to him. I said, Kevin, we had a good day in sales. Anything you want to eat, any restaurant, any place. And basically just said, you really make me bad, Dad. I said, well, what did I do? I'm not restricting you where to eat. He says, ever since I've done your protocol, I don't care anymore. I said, what do you mean? The food doesn't taste good? He says, no, I just don't care about food. And what really irritates me is now I don't want to be a chef. Basically, the fungus makes you crave carbohydrates because it lives off of carbohydrates and trace minerals. And so to survive in your body as a parasite, it needs to be fed, and as it grows, it needs to be fed more. It starts to eat up all your carbohydrates in your bloodstream, and your brain is a carbohydrate fiend. Its primary source of nutrition is carbohydrates. Right. And when you deprive the brain of carbohydrates, it's going to make you crave carbohydrates. You go out and you want to get a donut, or a juice, or pasta to feed that craving. Problem is, when you eat a donut, you not only get the carbohydrate that the brain wants, but you get fats and protein that the body doesn't need. And that's why we have obesity in our country to the extent that it is. Not only do you gain weight and you don't feel good, the fungus gives out a bowel movement which disrupts neurotransmission for short-term memory. It's an ethanol product. I believe it's what causes MS, by the way, with low body temperature. But what's really crucial, that the fungus eats up all your trace minerals in your body. And trace minerals are what bind to amino acids and make chemicals in your body to function properly. It also makes you alkaline. Have you ever heard that if you're alkaline, you can't get cancer?
Yes, I have.
So basically, when you remove the minerals, you can't bind to the amino acid to make a neutral, so it's not acid in your bloodstream, and you start to go acidic. And the body has to stay in a pH range of 7.38 to 7.42. If it gets out of that range by 1 degree in either direction, you die within an hour. It's like a fruit that, looks really good one night and the next morning it's rotted, is that inside the fruit the pH changed to such a degree that it just collapsed. And that's what happens to the body if the pH gets off balance.
You're talking about the leaky gut syndrome, which comes from some of the antibiotics we had as kids, and even recently that completely kill the flora and the fauna. Explain how it leaks, the food leaks into our blood and it causes all this.
Well, what happens is that the primary things that cause digestive or to have this fungus get out of the digestive tract is antibiotics, steroids, birth control are probably the three primary things that cause the digestive tract to kill off you have this coating on the interior of your intestinal tract that is like a filtering system not to allow, bacteria and fungus into the bloodstream. When you take one wide-spectrum antibiotic, it destroys your whole lining, and that allows the fungus to open up Pandora's box, and it gets out of that box, and it starts to proliferate throughout the system, and it gets into your gallbladder, which is the primary incubation center for the fungus. Lower colon is number 2, and sinus is number 3. And it clogs up your gallbladder. It's the third most common operation in the U.S., gallbladder operation.
Really?
And it's the most crucial organs for longevity and feeling good. When the gallbladder is supposed to store a bile, and this bile is really a waste material out of the liver of all this junk that we have in the liver that the body wants to eliminate, but it forms when you break down your red blood cells that are old, and it crushes it in the spleen, and it uses those minerals to bind with the old cholesterol and other waste material to make bile acid. So it's almost a dumping mechanism, but has a purpose because the body's very efficient. It goes into the digestive tract and digests fat, and then fats break down to cholesterol, and then it breaks down to pregnenolone, the master hormone to all hormones. Everything starts with pregnenolone. So that pregnenolone feeds the adrenals, and the adrenals are like a butcher, break it up to estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, all these other hormones, allowing you to function, because hormones are basically the communication to the cell what to do. Communicates to the liver how to function properly, the spleen, the heart, the brain. Everything has to be controlled by hormone. And without these, you have a cascade of malfunctions that occur in your body.
How do you get back to balance? Can you plug up these leaks?
The thing is, this is what most people do. They say, oh, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to take acidophilus. But it's already out of Pandora's box. You can't fix the digestive tract and be well again because it's already out. You have to go through some kind of cleansing to kill off and allow your body to start to take control of itself again. And if you don't, all you're doing is, once it's overrun like that and the body gets off balance, it's like having a pool of mud and you get a big, huge gallon of water and you throw pure water into a mud pit. What do you have?
Muddy water.
That's right. So you need to clean out the pool. You have to line it, and then you put the water back in. If you don't, you'll just slow it down and it'll just come back in a few weeks. This is why diets don't work. Diets control carbohydrates. Like the Atkins diet is the worst diet in the world. There's a book, it's called The China Study by Dr. Campbell, I believe. Best book in the world to talk about prevention of cancer, because most cancer is caused from eating animals, and the protein from animal is the main cause of cancer in the U.S. When you read it, it blow you away. Put it this way, I read it 5 months ago and decided to be a vegetarian. And believe me, it's not what I wanted to do. It's so compelling because there's literally hundreds and hundreds of studies showing that when you go above 10% in animal protein, your chances of cancer increase. Below 10%, it's pretty non-existent. And this guy was raised on a farm eating bacon and ham and everything else. So it wasn't what he wanted to do at the time, okay?
How do we get that clean and reline it?
What you need to do is a full cleanse. Now, I sell a full cleanse, but I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to sell you on the concept that you can be better. You can change your life. To really clean it out, you need to clean out the digestive tract. You need to open up the gallbladder with a gallbladder liver flush. My number is 1-800-266-0555. Supergoodstuff.com.